Mario Kart Wii has such incredible mechanics that fans are still creating their own courses in 2022. Here are all the tracks that were released in January 2022, ranked in terms of enjoyability, navigation, visuals, creativity, and also just how much I like them. I stopped collecting tracks on January 26th, so any tracks released after that date will not be included. Let's go. 44. Creepy Mausoleum by Warwick92XD. This month, Warwick has started releasing early proof-of-concept versions of custom tracks he's working on. I think that's awesome, and I'm really excited to see where these tracks will go when they're more complete. But admitting to them being unfinished doesn't make them good. It just makes me judge it less. I have no idea where I'm meant to go in this track, it's too small, there's random spots where you can fall through the level, and there's alternate routes that don't actually go anywhere. But still, I hope these routes get fleshed out in the final version, because I'd love to play hide and seek on this track. 43. Joke Shortcut by Warwick92XD. This is another track that Warwick's working on, and in its current state it's also very difficult to navigate, especially in this section with the slanted off-road. It's very hard to work out where I'm meant to go, and I don't know why or how there's a random cannon here. I'm looking forward to seeing what shortcuts will be in the final version, because there didn't seem to be a lot in a track called Joke Shortcuts. 42. Umbreon's Rundown Pizzeria by Carry On. I thought this track didn't count the lap at first, but no, you have to turn around and go backwards for it to count. It's themed after Five Nights at Freddy's, which I don't care about, but at least the ramp's kinda fun. Not the worst for a meme track. 41. C-Track Mix by C-Power Blue. It took me a while to get this track, but I think it's meant to be a combination of C-Power Blue's custom tracks. It starts on this Wario's Gold Mine section, which is probably meant to be related to the track Small Mine. There's also this very weird section where you drive across the wood Toad, which is likely related to the track Toad Road. I don't think this track's fully serious, but I still thought there was some creative design elements, such as a flat area acting as a cannon. 40. Donkey Kong Drum Conquest by Love Life and T-Pose 024. Easily the funniest track so far this year. It's a remake of 25M from Donkey Kong, where you have to avoid the jumps by jumping off the yellow jump pads. The jumps are actually cars, and they float back up to the top in order to complete the loop. I don't think I could ever play this under pressure, but it's definitely something I'll be sending to my friends who don't play Mario Kart to annoy them. 39. Sketchy Mario Circuit 4 by Elemental. This track is a giant meme. It's a remake of SNES Mario Circuit 4, but the road is extremely bumpy and there aren't any walls. I feel like this track has more effort put in than it needed. The road is UV mapped properly and the respawns are okay. I also think making the road bumpy was actually a creative way to ruin the track, which is why I've ranked it so high. 38. Gingivitis is Bad by Coffee Toffee. The title doesn't lie. Gingivitis is a gum disease and it's not very nice. Dr. Mario even put up a poster to explain it. This track was made in 3.5 hours for a Turbo Jam contest, and is a remake of a track called Oil Rig Run. Because it was made in such a short amount of time, it's obviously not that serious and has weird gameplay aspects such as vertical U-turns where you drive 180 degrees. Still, it's not awful considering the scope of the project. 37. Moonlight Drive by C-Power Blue. This is your typical city track that drags on a bit too long. Other than the awesome bridge that you can trick off like Juicy and Mushroom Bridge, there aren't really any memorable landmarks. The track is extremely dark and I often found myself turning into the off-road trying to work out where to go. I think this would be interesting to play on 200cc though. I wonder if experimenting with speed mods could make this track more enjoyable. 36. Candy Cake Circuit by Luigi Story and Dark Kirby YT. And here begins our candy track conquest, preceding the candy-themed custom track jam. Candy Cake Circuit came last in the jam, and while it wasn't bad by any means, it did have some issues. I like the theme of the branching paths, with the cooler ones being at the start. The wavy chocolate reminds me of Toblerones, and I love Toblerones. I think the track could be more dynamic to play and feature some shortcuts, but the biggest issue at the moment is the lag. The lag makes the frame rate tank pretty badly, and it makes the track a lot less fun to play as a result. 35. Red Rock City by Potato Man 44. I definitely have a soft spot for short and chaotic tracks, and this one's actually pretty fun. The visuals and concept could do with some work, and the spiral at the end is very bumpy and weird, but I could see it giving some good Formula Kart Wii races. I think if this gets an update, it should be at least 5 laps. 34. Blast Bomber by Warwick92XD. Yet another proof of concept from Warwick to add to the collection. This one's pretty flat and long right now without a lot going on, but it's much more functional than his other proof of concepts. It's 2 laps, which is nice, and hopefully the final version will be more engaging. One thing I like about the visuals was the use of fire and rockets to create the arrows. That definitely makes the name Blast Bomber a lot more fitting. 33. Villager Elephant Hotel by Kiwi Power Green, Lucky Dragon, and Dingo Bob. What's a villager elephant and why does it need its own hotel? Well, a villager elephant is like a regular elephant, but the head is the Minecraft villager texture repeated over and over. I don't know why it needs a hotel. This work of art was made in the Discord VC, and it features a section where you drive across villager elephants into a cannon. I like the theming, and there's some creative design choices, such as a small pool of water you drive through at the beginning. 32. Sweet Suburb Summit by Kiwi Power Green and Joe Who. Next on the candy list is this one right here. I found myself driving into the off-road thinking it was the way to go, and sections such as the loop or the ice cave don't really drive that well. I think the track goes on for a bit too long too, and I find myself zoning out while playing. That being said, the visuals are great, and the Mountain Dew flowing as a water stream near the start is extremely creative. 31. New Year's Feast by C Power Blue and Down. I think my favorite thing about New Year's Feast is that it looks unique compared to the other candy tracks that were released this month. Whereas most take the form of Sweet Sweet Canyon for Mario Kart 8, this one has brighter and simpler textures that give it its own identity. The track design matches that creativity, with crackers on the bottom and tubes to drive through at the top. There's also a cake with candles that act as obstacles. Unfortunately, these ideas don't flow into each other that well in the track's current state. That's why it's so low right now, but I think there is some great potential here. 30. SM64 The Princess's Secret Slide by Diego Bappi. I'm honestly surprised it took this long to see this stage remade in Mario Kart Wii, and I think Diego's interpretation was very creative. The track begins with the regular slide, and the curves on the road use reject road to push you away like the original game. But instead of going through a cannon at the end, Diego added some new sections to take you back to the beginning. These new sections aren't hugely interesting, but they do have some neat ideas. The room with those of item boxes looks like a Formula Kart Wii death pit, and I'm all for it. I was a bit concerned with this ramp at the end because it looks like you could fall down and get stuck if you miss the jump, but Diego thought ahead and put invisible bounce pads in case you fall down somehow. I think it would be good to change the final turn though, because you're gonna hit the wall even if you know it's coming. 29. Dumb Drums by Elemental. For context, this was made for a track contest where the theme was percussion, and you had to include bouncy collision somewhere. While everyone else on the planet made bouncy drums, Elemental made the walls out of drums, and just put a random bouncy ramp. That was very funny. It plays alright, and you don't tend to get lost, so I can't knock it that much. 28. Sweet Plateau by Elemental and Neonium? It's been a while since I played a track with multiple distinct routes, but here we are. Sweet Plateau has 2 long laps around an unhealthy landscape. There are sugary candy things that act as bouncy mushrooms, and straight up mud that's probably meant to be chocolate. The 2 paths split off around the halfway point, with one taking you through a chocolate cave, and the other taking you across a cloud thing. I think the cloud route is much more engaging because it's more challenging and there are boost panels to keep you on your toes. The main problem with split path tracks is it reduces the interactions between racers, but it's always interesting to see what people come up with. 27. FGKR Downhill River by Wii. FGKR stands for Family Go-Kart Racing. I hadn't heard of it before, so let me read what I found. Family Go-Kart Racing was received poorly among critics. The game's only review on Metacritic calls it completely unplayable. Nintendo Life gave it a 1 out of 10. This was definitely a weird pick for a track port, which is the kind of thing I love to see. Wii made some optimizations to make it play better in Mario Kart Wii, but I still found that there's just not a lot going on here. There's a couple of off-road cuts and a little waterfall area, but it's mostly just simple turns with repetitive visuals. Still, I'd love to see more ports from random games in the future, and I think this is a funny and cool idea. 26. Wii U Bone Dry Dunes by Diego Bappi. I'm always excited to see new Mario Kart 8 track remakes, and Bone Dry Dunes is no different. Diego had made Sunshine Airport in the past, and both tracks use their Mario Kart 8 models with modifications to reduce lag. In its current state, the collision in Bone Dry Dunes is a bit too bumpy for some reason, and I'm not sure how this could be fixed. But I love the dry bones replacing Mario Kart Wii crabs in the cave, and having a cannon to the shortcut placed in the anti-gravity section was an interesting workaround. I think this track has a lot of great potential for sure. 25. Trip to Candyland by Bro de la Boy and Potato Man 44. This is an interesting take on the Sweet Sweet Canyon ripoff formula, because it's set in the sky and seemingly on another planet altogether. There are alternate routes on this one as well, but they're much shorter and more balanced than in Sweet Plateau. My favorite part of the track is probably the underground section. The DK Mountain boulders were retextured to look like gobstopper things, and the entire landscape is really beautiful. I did have to deduct some points because I found that falling off the track by the pipe doesn't count you out of bounds and you get stuck at the bottom of the track, but then I gave it a point back for exploration because I'm me, so I think this should probably be fixed though. 24. 3DS Music Park by TL. It's the Mario Kart 8 version of 3DS Music Park, but the model was made in 3 hours. Honestly, this model is beautiful, considering how quickly it was made, and the gameplay is alright as well. The turn leading into the bouncy section is a bit blind, but I actually like it overall besides that. 23. SNES Donut Plains 1 by Waka. I don't think I ever expected Mario Kart Wii to look like this. Waka has perfectly captured the essence of Mario Kart on the SNES with its flat textures and walls, and he even replicated the flat item boxes and made the coins disappear when you run into them. While I generally find the flat SNES remakes boring, there's something so cool about effectively being transported into a retro game that I actually quite like the visuals just as much as I like modern custom track visuals. Unfortunately, it's still SNES Donut Plains 1, so it's not the most thrilling to drive, and it's also a little hard to see the off-road texture compared to the regular road. 22. Abandoned Space Construction by Potato Man 44. I covered the track last month, and I like the new update this month. The texturing is much more interesting, there are shadows now, and it's a same number of laps. Also, the ending section takes place in a rusty spaceship to add visual and gameplay variety. It's simple but effective, and I love that. 21. Candy Corp Canyon by Shoki and David Flynn. This is a banger track that's been robbed of a top spot due to some intense lag in the first half of the track. Candy Corp Canyon takes place in a big candy factory with lots of interesting alternate routes and paths to take. You then move into a strawberry river which flows outside into a boardwalk section. From there, it's a short trek back to the candy factory. I think some of the shortcuts are a bit janky, but at least Dr. Mario is here to warn us about gingivitis once again. Cool pun, buddy boy. 20. Glacial Lake by Unimpressed Looking Dot Face Thing. Glacial Lake is a pretty solid ice track that has some fun and interesting ideas. The starting area takes place under the main track and is never revisited. There's a fun shroomless cut, and a short secret route for exploration. I love how the road texture looks, but it's an ice track, and ice physics sucks, so it's getting ranked lower. 19. The World of Two Color by Tari. I don't think this is the first track to pull a castle black with the visuals, but it's the first one I've played, and I love what Tari did here. There are a few blind turns that I didn't understand right away, and there's some item boxes that I don't know how to get, but I think it played really well other than that. 18. Regal Rainbow by Coffee Toffee. This is a very typical Rainbow Road track. It plays well and has some fun variety, but nothing really makes it stand out as its own thing in my opinion. I like the off-road ramp shortcut, and I also like the trick ramps that have more industrial textures. Plus, the N64 Rainbow Road textures work really nicely. 17. Candy Coaster by Spy Kid. Spy Kid updated a lot of his classic custom track this month, and I wasn't sure which ones to include in this ranking. I decided to include Candy Coaster because it went up by an extra version rather than just a decimal. I like the visual touch-ups in this update, as well as the fence on the more difficult turn near the end. I don't think the visuals are quite as good as other modern tracks, and the last turn still stressing me out, but it's a solid update to a solid track. 16. Mushroom Hillside by Wixboy. Who would have expected me to rank a Mushroom Peaks inspired track so high? Don't get me wrong, it still had a lot of issues that the original Peaks has, such as steep hills that shoot you into the sky and long straightaways, but they aren't that bad in the grand scheme of things. Mushroom Hillside captures the essence of Peaks really nicely, with its 90-degree branching paths and mushrooms looking off the edge, but the track's actually simple to navigate and didn't have any mushroom paths that turn away casual players. This is Wixboy's second custom track, and I hope we see more from them in the future. 15. Monty Marsh by Rex. This is a remake of Monty Mole Lake by Crackpot Hacker 64000 VR, which was an old custom track made with MS Paint. Rex's remake is much more dynamic and even includes path switching like Incendia Castle. The visuals are definitely quite basic for modern standards, and the ramps fling you way too high, but it's a great overhaul of the original track regardless. 14. Choco River by Weird Looking Dot Thing, and I'm Zabg. Here we have another track involving candy in a factory, but this one's done a bit better in my opinion. The first half of the track is pretty standard, but the factory and beyond is where it gets good. There are conveyor belts hanging down from the ceiling which act as awesome shroomless shortcuts, and they're in a couple of spots too. The ending section has a village with one of the coolest shortcuts I've seen in a long time. You can turn around and shroom off the roof of this house using it as a ramp to the finish line. If you don't have a shroom, you can also do some sick parkour off these biscuits. 13. CTR Crash Cove by Task Reese. I've never played Crash Team Racing before, but I recognize this track from one of Game Champ 3000 videos. While there's lots of straightaways on this track, I think the gameplay otherwise fits Mario Kart Wii nicely. There's ramps to trick off, and you can even drive up the shipwreck to get an item box. I love all the background details such as the shark swimming around and the crates from the Crash Bandicoot games. Something I found cool was that the model is optimized really well for light reduction. Viewing the model with external programs, you can see that many surfaces that are out of view simply don't exist, which is what Nintendo often does when modeling through the areas. 12. Confectionery Cliffs by Bear and ZPL. This was my favorite entry in the Candy CT Jam when I was first voting, so I'm glad to see it get an official release. This track, much like Choco River, takes some pointers from Mario Kart 8's Sweet Sweet Canyon. There's lots of off-road shortcuts through donuts and a dual path section using the same textures. I really like how you can drive up the donuts and look behind fences and other objects in the track. I also like the hidden shroomless cut near the beginning with the bouncy lollipop. 11. N64 Yoshi Valley by ZPL. We covered this track last month, but ZPL gave this track a major update since then, following feedback from the CGP Track Council, and I wanted to give my thoughts. Visually, I think the track is much better with the colors being more saturated. The addition of Yoshis around the track is adorable, and everything's a little bit more polished. The fast bridge route has been changed to off-road, presumably to encourage players to try the other routes on the track. The biggest update revolves around the awesome gap cut shortcut from the N64 version. The shortcut is now much harder to pull off, and it cuts off a bit less. While this makes me a little sad because I love the original shortcut, I think this makes the track better overall. 10. Toxic Mushroom Falls by ZPL. Not gonna lie, this is basically a generic mushroom track. We've seen big mushrooms before in other tracks, and ZPL has even done a remake of Mushroom Valley in the past. That being said, is there really anything wrong here? No. It's fun to play, looks absolutely stunning, there's no navigation issues, and it's hide and seek friendly. There's a hidden cannon on one of the mountains that lets you fully explore the background. This could be really fun in infection mode. Like, imagine not allowing access to that area until there's only one person remaining. 9. Oceanic Island by Cowbie. For a simple beach boardwalk track, it's honestly really fun. I particularly enjoyed the bridge near the beginning of the track with trickball edges. It gave me GBA Rainbow Road vibes. It would have been awesome if there was more done with this concept since it's pretty unique to this track. I don't have much to say, it's just really immersive and I'd pick this online. 8. Deciduous Ground by Antares. Damn, this one really impressed me. The visuals are absolutely stunning and you're allowed to leave the track to look at them if you so desire. The ramps feel good to use and the modernized boost texture fits really well. The boardwalk area is also really nice with a few spots to trick off. I'm not really sure what this area is for though. It seems like you can do an extremely precise rail shortcut to get here, but I feel like that's not intended. 7. Rainfall Ridge by ZPL. I saw ZPL making this on a live stream, and the finished product is awesome. There are lots of awesome strats and shortcuts with varying levels of difficulty. If you're a bit more comfortable with the physics, there's a ramp you can go off using a trick boost that leads to a garden off-road shortcut. Some of the mountain areas don't have floor boundaries, which means there are small areas to explore for hide and seek, and some of them can be used for shortcuts. I'd love to see someone task this track, to be honest. 6. DS Rainbow Road by ZPL. We covered this last month, but ZPL updated the no loop version at the start of the year following some feedback from the CTGP Track Council, and I wanted to give some thoughts. I still prefer the janky loops because they're the defining features of DS Rainbow Road, but the new additions are pretty sweet. The corkscrew section now has wavy road like Mario Kart Wii Rainbow Road, and the rings from mission mode have been used as decoration, which was a really nice touch. 5. Wii U Electrodrome by Squire Turnbolt. I didn't expect this to be a Mario Kart 8 remake we got so soon, but I'm pleasantly surprised. I never really liked Electrodrome in the original Mario Kart 8. There was some long straightaways and only the visuals saved it. This version by Squire Turnbolt fixes the issues I had with the original and makes it play beautifully in Mario Kart Wii. The long straightaway at the start of the anti-gravity section is now a boost panel, and you can jump between the split paths as a turn skip shortcut near the end. I hope Squire Turnbolt does some more Wii U remakes in the future. 4. 3DS DK Jungle by ZPL. I can't say this retro ever stood out to me as one of my favorites in Mario Kart Wii, but I recently started picking it in CTGP Worldwide and it gives some really fun races. But damn, this new version from ZPL is so much better than the CTGP one. The enemies from the original track are back and fully functional thanks to Skipper and Bry, the visuals are improved over the original, and the model's been edited to make the ramp section more functional. The two biggest upgrades that stood out to me were the ramp at the end no longer shooting you miles into the air, and the removal of an invisible wall allowing a new shortcut after the bridge. This better get accepted in a CTGP, or I will throw a small child into the river. 3. Sheet Cake Quarry by Love Life and T-Pose Duo 24 and Carry On. This was the winner from the candy themed CT Jam that we've been seeing so many tracks from in this video, and it's clear why. The constant twists and turns with fun jumps keeps the experience engaging, and the track is very beautiful with lots of visual variety. I didn't notice until my third or so run through of the track that there's a hidden ramp shortcut near the end. There are even custom gingerbread men things cheering from the sidelines, and I love them very much. I don't think it does enough to distinguish itself from the other candy tracks, but it's a banger nonetheless, and I'd recommend it in a heartbeat. 2. DS TikTok Clock by ZPL. I didn't think it was possible to make me like this track. Don't get me wrong, I love driving it in Mario Kart 8, but I never feel like it played that well in Mario Kart Wii. This new version from ZPL has the visuals from Mario Kart 8 applied to the Mario Kart DS model, but some small optimizations were made to make the track more fun to drive. By far my favorite thing about the track is the return of the hands from the Mario Kart 8 version. They give load tricks, and they're very fun to use when they show up at the start and end of the track. There's also some neat spots for hide and seeks that weren't needlessly turned out of bounds, and I'm looking forward to lurking there. 1. Pandora Palace by Shorky. Words cannot describe how excited I am to see a custom track based on Deltarune's second chapter. Queen is probably my favorite character in Deltarune so far, and being able to race in her palace is a dream come true. The textures resemble the original area really well, and there's lots of references throughout the track, such as Toby Fox, dogs, skateboarding, and the 3 cars from Spamton Neo's fight in the basement. The skateboarding section is a little bit hard in my opinion, and the outdoor section also feels a bit jank, but I don't really care. The amount of creativity used to bring the Deltarune universe to Mario Kart Wii is enough to make this my personal favorite track of the month. Thanks for watching this video. We'll be doing custom track showcases at the end of every month, so make sure you subscribe. I made a new channel called NuoKart Events for any Mario Kart Wii players to watch my videos. Just turn on notifications, and I'll be announcing fun rooms for videos and leaving a My Stuff link in the description. I'll see you guys soon. Bye!